Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We are live. We are live. Are we live on Instagram? Hold on. Let me make sure we're live on Instagram because I can always forget Instagram. So, welcome to another glimpse of growth with Dr. Dale, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hi, hi, hi. How are you? How is your Wednesday going? I had to change my time, my calendar over here. It still has yesterday's date. These things are going so fast. You can't catch up, but you're going to have to catch up. You're going to have to catch up. Did you know that just 37%, yes, listen to the number, 37% of United States employees feel they are respected at work? 37%. Don't you think that's low? It's low from 2020. It's low from 2022 moving into 2020. It's low. Don't you think so? I mean, I think it's low. But then again, the workplace, whatever happens in the workplace, I tell you, it kind of exasperates and it brings about what's happening in the world. And then 63% of those who don't feel respected at work, guess what they're planning to do? Guess what they're planning to do? I'll let you guess. I'll pause for you to guess and tell me what you think they're planning to do. They are planning to leave. Obviously. They're planning to leave. Obviously. Right? Wouldn't you? If you didn't feel respected at work for one reason or another, wouldn't you leave? According to this research by Gallup, they said only 37% of United States employees feel respected. That's less than half. And I would think that number is even lower. Hi, Michael Young. Thanks for stopping by. Good morning. Again, welcome to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. I am here now on TikTok, but I've been on all the other social media. I'm here now on all the social media, TikTok, YouTube, Insta, and LinkedIn. Yes, we are here. So that kind of tells you what that means is that the turnover, if 63% of those employees in those workplaces are deciding to leave, that means the turnover in organizations is higher, right? Because these people don't feel that they're respected at work. And let me tell you, if that was me, I've been there, I would be leaving too. So, yes. Abdul, you want to come in and have a conversation with me? Let's see here as we decide to get started here. Wait a minute. Let me know if you're still, because this stuff moves so quick, you guys. I'm over here on TikTok. Try to get familiar with TikTok. Laugh at me, you guys. This stuff moves so quick. Hi, Tira. Hopefully I said your name right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Street Poet. I think I follow you as well. You go live quite often, and I think I follow you as well. Good morning. This is A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale, and today we're talking about the respect of it all. And this is part 2, because last week we had a deep dive conversation. And we talked about how do you know that you are being respected? And then we're talking about it as it relates to the workplace, right? The longer I do this stuff, the longer this stuff as it relates to personal development, professional development, and interacting with people and behaviors and the brain and all the things, the more I realize that respect is really has nothing to do with professional virtue. It's all about being human. That's my take. That's my experience. And I believe that it is the thread that kind of holds a relationship, that holds workplaces, that holds homes and self-worth together. Because think about it. Here's a challenge, right? Here's a challenge. It's easy for us to talk about it, right? But when it comes down to being about it and feeling like you are disrespected, all of that stuff that we said yesterday goes out the door. Like every single thing that we have said goes out the door, right? The things that we said in a calm way, out the door. The real test is how we show when we disagree, when we are feeling stressed and pressured, and especially in leadership, it gets messy. Hi, you guys. Thank you for popping in. Darasini, hopefully I said your name right. Hi, you guys. I welcome. Let's have this conversation. Have this conversation with me because this is part two of the respect of it all, right? We can talk about respect all day, every day. But when it comes down to actually living what that respect looks like, I don't know. I don't know. Things go out the door when you feel pressured, when stuff just is not going right. So today we're diving into the respect of it all and what it looks like in the workplace, across differences when you're under stress, and when, why it should, it comes down to, it becomes pretty much the currency of what leadership is all about and what being human is all about, right? Because titles may get you people to get people to do what you say. People may do what you say because you're the boss, right? You have that title, manager, right? But only respect is the only thing that earns you trust. Let me know if you guys agree with me. Let me know if you guys agree with me. You can have the title. You can tell people, you like, I'm the boss and you have to do what I say. But when it comes down to them actually respecting you, they need to have your trust. Do they trust you? Hi, DJ Cressy. Thank you for joining. Hi, for passing through. So that's the question. That's what it comes down to. So what are you doing about that? So today, we're kind of diving into it and looking at it. Of course, everything that I do, I look at it through the lens of emotional intelligence, which is what I did my dissertation on. And because emotional intelligence kind of balances, from my perspective, from my research, from others' research, the other people that have done research on emotional intelligence, the same thing they have said. It kind of balances you being respected and how to honor people whose views you necessarily don't agree with. Sometimes when you don't agree with somebody else's point of view, the respect goes out the door. So emotional intelligence reminds you to how do you stay grounded? How do you kind of continue to lead yourself? Respect yourself first. That's what we learned last week, because this is part 2, right? This week we're talking about, so last week we talked about respect, and the part 1 covered one thing clear, very clear, is that first of all, you got to respect yourself. Respect yourself. And then turn around and then exemplify that in your everyday action, right? In your everyday action. And then, of course, how you interact with other people, how you do your work, how you show up for yourself. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab your orange juice or whatever it is that you drink early in the morning. Hi, Queens. Hi, Virginia. Hi, you guys. Thank you guys for popping by or passing through. We're talking about respect, respect in the workplace, and respect as a whole. And what are you doing, and how are you showing up for yourself, and ensuring that other people respect you and that you respect yourself. And then last week we gave some examples in part one. This week, we're also going to give some examples for these other three points that we're going to make. So, respect in the workplace, how leaders actually are balancing being liked and being respected. This is a classic tension, right? You know, some leaders want to be liked, and then the other ones simply want to be, have this authoritative attitude, and then still want to be liked, because people may tell you they don't care about how other people think about them, but if it's your family, if it's people that you know, like, and trust, right, you care about how they think about you. Your kids, your spouses, like, you care about how those people think about you. So wanting your team, like if you're a manager and you're leading a team of people, and you're wanting them and needing them, you need them to respect you, right? Because great leaders understand that respect isn't about everyone's favorite person. It's about being fair, being consistent, being kind, being authentic. Jackie, what do you think about that? I agree. Tell me what you think. Let me know let me know what you guys are. What do you guys' thoughts are, and your experience as it relates to respect, because that's what it comes down to. Great leaders understand quite well that respect isn't about everyone's favorite. Like, I'm your favorite boss. I'm your favorite person. You're my favorite aunt. It's because it comes down to respect me. And respect is consistency. It's being fair. It's being authentic. It's being kind, you know, and showing up, right? So imagine a manager who tries very hard to be respected, to please everyone. They avoid conflict, so they don't address things that should be addressed in the office. Samba, thank you for joining. Thank you for passing through. Hi. Have this conversation with me. Welcome, you guys. Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. And we're talking about the respect of it all. And we're talking about a manager. Imagine a manager. And I'm sure I've been in workplaces where this has been the case, right? This has been the case where you've had managers that simply want to please everybody because they're scared of setting some boundaries. They're scared of looking like Sally is not gonna like me if I tell her to move her chair over here. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to not be liked, right? So imagine that manager. I mean, I've been in workplaces where that has been the case, where the manager who tries very hard please everybody, he say yes, or he or she say yes to everything. They spread themselves really thin. At first, the team might appreciate their kindness, right? Think about it. I appreciated when my manager told me yes for something, but I realized that that same thing they told me yes to, they went back and told somebody else to them about the same thing. And both of us can't be a yes. Somebody's going to have to be a no. Chiquita, what do you think? Chiquita Queen, welcome. One Big Mel, hi, good morning, you guys. Like, you can't say yes to that employee for that thing and come back and tell me yes. You're gonna have to tell somebody no, right? So this is what this man is. So what happens? What do you think that happens? Eventually, confusion is afoot. Confusion is gonna happen, and miscommunication, and then the boundaries as it relates to who gets to do what gets confusing, right? And then on the other hand, if you have a leader who actually It's all about authority, no warmth. They could care less how you feel or think. They just hold you to the book, and they're compliant in everything, and they are not connected to you at all. They can care less. So you can't, you imagine, you see, you just can't have it both ways. You can't have somebody that is completely yes and people pleasing, and you can't have someone that's completely authoritative and putting down the hammer. They have no empathy, and they don't care anything about whatever was happening with you, right? So you can't have it like it's too much, it's too extreme, right? So the balance is empathy. You lead with empathy, but hold people accountable. You can care deeply and correct firmly. Yeah. Hi, Lester Turner 8. Hi, good morning. Good morning. You can care deeply about someone, right? You can care deeply about your employees, about your friend, about your family member, but you got to make sure that care, you don't allow it to blur the lines between you holding them and holding yourself accountable, right? You can correct them firmly, and you can correct them firmly with a smile. Like, you don't have to be rude about it, right? That's where emotional intelligence comes into play, right? That's that leading with empathy, right? Looking at it from the other person's perspective, and at the same time holding that balance, so that way you're making sure that your boundaries are not being crossed, right? Emotional regulation, which is the second part of emotional intelligence, allows a leader, allows a person to give tough feedback without frustration or harshness. You ain't got to be harsh about it. And another part of emotional intelligence is motivation. It keeps the focus on growth, on not punishment. We're not going to focus so much on that mistake that you did, or that the department did, or that we did, that we're going to forget that. Let's just learn from this process. When I was managing my team, like, I had some on the team that were like, yeah, but quick to blame, quick to point fingers, right? Hi, Skip. Hi, you guys. Shiloh Heat, welcome. Good morning. Thank you for passing through. We're having this discussion about respect, and how emotional intelligence is like that nice balance, especially if you're a leader or if you're a human being. As long as you are a human being, these are things that you can use, right? So, um, from a emotional regulation, you kind of give that feedback without punching the person at the same time, right? And then the other part of emotional intelligence, as it relates to respect, is your social skills. Help communicate the truth with tact. You're like, I'm just telling you, like, you have people, and that people that, like, I'm just telling her like it is. Yeah, but do you have to do it that way? Like, do you guys know people like that? Like, let me know. Or maybe you are, right? Emotional intelligence says, yes, we're all about the truth, right? We're all about the truth, but we're all about the truth with empathy, with love, with care, right? Hi, Maria Andrade. Hi, good morning. Like, you can tell someone something, you can tell them, tell them where your boundary lines are as it relates to respect, but you don't have to communicate it in a way that makes them feel like shite afterwards. Right? Because then, if the roles were reversed, that's what it all comes down to. If the roles were reversed, how would you want someone to give it to you? Like, if you made a mistake and you are so sorry, you didn't mean it for it to happen, how would you want someone to communicate that to you? Do you want them to bash your head in with the you shouldn't have done this. What's wrong with you? Are you dumb or something? Like that's a totally different energy than okay, you made that mistake. I get it. What do you think that caused you to make that to went that route and cause that mistake to happen? And then the person explains, and then you turn around like, okay, do you know what you're going to do next time to make sure that doesn't happen? And then the person tells you, okay, then it sounds like you learned from your mistake. That's it. Right? But then this is where the respect of it all comes into play. If you are so pissed off about whatever mistake that they made or whatever thing that they said or whatever they did or didn't do or should have done, if you are so pissed off and you don't have that EQ, which is emotional intelligence, that EI to kind of balance you off, things can come out kind of rough, right? It can come out kind of rough. And then what happens? I mean, I'll tell you what happens with me when somebody tells me, something rough and, they're telling me the truth, but if they tell it to me in a way that they're yelling, they're making me feel like crap, I I'm not listening. You tell me. Are you listening? Like if the roles were you put yourself in a would you be listening? I'll be honest with you. I'm not. And as a matter of fact, whatever else you have to say, I'm not going to listen to it because you're telling me in a way that's making me feel less than a human being. And I say this all the time with everything that happens. I was like, I say that everything can be corrected. Everything can be fixed as long as there's life, right? And sometimes certain things you just get an opportunity to do it once, right? And that's just the repercussion of your learning, and that's what you're gonna have to live with, whatever that look like, right? But I feel like almost everything can be fixed and corrected as long as there's life. You want to make that those things right. You want to correct, then it can happen, right? But are you giving yourself that opportunity? Are you giving the other person the opportunity? Should you give them the opportunity? God, it can get so sticky icky because being liked feels good, right? If you're that manager that's a constant yes, 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 it feels good to be liked. But being respected builds trust. And what that's what lasts, right? You don't want to be a pushover. You if you're a pushover and you're telling all of your employees yes, you can all take the day off. Who's gonna do the work? Maria, who's gonna do the work? I mean, you can't tell everybody can't take off on Monday. Like Monday's not a holiday. Like I mean, Maria, Andrade, everybody, you can't be, everybody you can't tell everybody no. I mean, yes, you just can't, right? So you just kind of have to find that middle ground and then eventually build those boundaries. And, I've had managers that have done that and then they learn from their mistakes. They learn from their mistakes, right? And the second point I want to make is respect across differences. When we necessarily do not agree, right? Respect is easy when everyone likes you. The real test is when they don't. When they don't like you, what happens? Right? Whether it's generational gap, at work, right? Whether it's you and your sister disagreed with how things should be done with mom, you and your family member, like it all depends. It varies in the situation, what you consider valuable. But whatever it is that you consider valuable, shouldn't you still hold up your end of the bargain as it relates to what your values are? And that's what we said last week when we talked about respect of it all, part one. We talked about that it comes down to whatever that person that you are interacting with, or whatever your values are, those are things that you hold dear and you want people to respect them. What happens when they don't? Hi, Fork. Welcome, welcome in. What happens when people do not respect you and your values? What do you do? What do you do? Right? So whether it's whatever it is, whether it's some, whatever the issue is, cultural differences, we mentioned the generational gap, we mentioned opposing opinions, emotional intelligence helps you stay grounded with empathy. And what I've found on my journey of personal development and overcoming my traumas and therapy and all of those things in these past almost 10 years is that grace. Grace is your friend. Hi, Ramon Negron. Hi, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Welcome in. You guys, let me know let me know your thoughts about this. Like, at the end of the day, it comes down to grace, right? And grace does not mean that you and I are best friends. Grace simply means there's a saying in Spanish, and I say this all the time: cada uno es un mundo, meaning every person is a world, you know, kind of like that saying that said everybody's always going through something. So just give them some empathy because you never know what people are going through, right? And then you have the other end of it where some people are just not nice. Simple as that. I mean, the cold hard truth. Some people are just not nice, right? And we're not talking about those people because hopefully you don't have those people in your life that you're interacting with on a daily basis. You got to have your boundaries, and you just got to like have these people at arm's length. And if you have to deal with them because they're family members, then you're going to have to like set some boundaries in place to protect your peace. Because your peace, ooh, it's expensive. And I said on my live a couple weeks ago on my podcast that your piece is so expensive you have to protect it like it's property. You have to protect it like it's property. Hi, R373. Welcome in. Good morning. Good morning, you guys. Good morning. So let me know what you guys think. Let me go. Let me know. Hi, Connie. Hi, Bessie. Welcome. Thank you for passing through. We're talking about respect and what happens when the people like you. I mean, people don't like you, and then the respect goes out the door, right? Respect is easy when everyone likes you, but the real test is whether comes into play when they don't like you, right? And it can be for personal reasons, right? And it can be for professional reasons. They don't agree with you how you did this, and how you did that and whatever. And a lot of that is going on in families today, and it's causing a lot of breakup because what one person intended to do and the outcome of what the other person received and how they see it, two different things. Two different things. I meant to tell you that I appreciate you, but what actually came out of my mouth is, what's wrong with you? I thought you knew better. I thought you knew better. Right? I thought you knew better. And that happens, right? So picture this with me. We're talking about respect mainly in the workplace, but it kind of goes in all the places, right? This is for at home, this is for at church, this is for any relationship that you have. So picture this: when a team meeting is happening and two people completely disagree. I've been in meetings like that. Have you guys? Right? Have you guys? Bessie, like, have you guys? What was your experience? Hi, Jojo. Welcome in. Thank you for passing through, you guys. When in a meeting with two people and they completely disagree, one person interrupts, the other person shuts them down. The conversation dies, the yelling starts, maybe a little bit of profanity, maybe a little bit of stomping hands, on the table or slamming doors or people walking away, not because they disagree, but because neither one of them felt respected. Neither one of them felt respected. Tim, hi. Tim Bay, hi. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome in, you guys. So that's what it is. It has nothing to do, like, both of them want to get this project done. They are passionate about it, but they seem to can't agree on how to move forward because nobody's listening to anybody. And because you don't respect what I have to say, I am not respecting what you have to say. Right? I am not going to listen to what you have to say. Like, for my husband, an important thing for him is that I listen. And listening does not mean with an open ear and then in one ear, out the other. That's not what listening is. You guys, listening is actually listening with your body language, listening to how he says what he says and what's important to him, and then me responding in a way that is not that I am going to do what he says, but I understand so well his perspective that he feels heard, right? He feels like, okay, I see, you get it. It's a big difference. Let me tell you, I'm still learning that. I'm still learning that. Hi, my friends. Unique. Hi, you guys. Thank you guys for passing through, for coming in. That's what it comes down to. I mean, it's now imagine that disagreement between those two people in that meeting, right? Imagine that that same disagreement handled with a little bit of empathy. With a little bit of empathy. For example, I see where you're coming from. Even if I don't necessarily agree and I see it differently, I see where you're coming from. So, in other words, you mean this, and this, right? They confirm, they feel heard. That acknowledgement, you guys have no idea. Try it. That acknowledgement alone changes the entire tone of the conversation. It changes the entire tone of the conversation. I have done it so many times. I'll be honest. I'll tell you guys. I had I'll give you guys a tip that I use with my clients and that I use with myself. And this is what happens, right? So if you know that you're going into a hot, like hot conversation, or it's gonna be a little bit, it can be some tension, whether it's with a family member, with a spouse, with a job, an employer, a friend, boyfriend, it doesn't matter. If you go in with these two words, and I need you guys to test it out. Isabel, Paula, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you guys go in with these two words, it doesn't matter what happens in that conversation, it's not going to go south. When I say south, I mean it's not going to end in yelling and cursing and people walking away and disrespect. So here it is, right? The first word is listen. So I'm actually working on a project right now, and this box that I'm going to have is going to have these trinkets in it, and it's going to be like a source or force of, you see how you have, how would I say it? The little bands that you put on your hand to kind of remind you to do something or not do something, like they have the ones for breast cancer, they have the ones that says empathy, or people have it for their jobs or whatever. So this is going to be a coin, and this coin is going to have two sides, and this coin um eh, is going to have two sides, and the first side is going to have the word listen, And when you going into that tension filled meeting with that person that is going to test your patience, I need you to go in with those two words. The first word is listen, the other one is reflect. Lindsay, welcome. $1 billion, welcome in. Those are the two words you're going in with. You're going in with the words listen and reflect. And it doesn't matter what happens in that conversation, you are going to start and end and interact with the word listen and reflect. So that way it will help you to not react. Because when we react is when things go south. We're not going to react and respond in a way for the person to feel like you're not even listening, because that's where conversations go left. Like these two people we're talking about right now at work, right? They disagreed with each other, they interrupted each other, nobody was listening. The conversation, so everything that was said went in one ear and out the other. Lemon, welcome. Good morning. So those are the two words you're going to go in with. You're going to sit down, you're going to have that conversation, you're going to let the person speak. And right when you feel like, nope, you want to say something, remember Dr. Dale said, listen or reflect. And then if you jump in between using each one of those words, then once you have reflected based when they're talking, then you can respond. But you have to let the person say everything, because I'm good at interrupting you guys. I talk about this stuff because this is stuff that I need help with. Emotional intelligence, I gravitate to it so much, and I did my research on it, in the workplace, because it has been a struggle for me. And I was like, I can't be the only one that's going through this stuff. It has to be other people out there. As she good morning. Hype Man 11, welcome. Good morning, you guys. So I'm sharing this because this has been a struggle for me, and I want to make sure. I know that I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm special, but I'm not that special, right? So if I am struggling to not interrupt someone when they're talking, I can only imagine other people out there are doing the same thing, right? So you go in with those two words and you will walk out of that conversation. It's not going to go south. I guarantee it. You come back and let me know. You jump in between listening and you jump in between reflecting. And then once the person have said what they said and you reflected on what they have said, right? That means then you feel like you can respond with care, with empathy, right? Because as you're holding those two words inside of your mind when the person is talking, and then you're listening to their body language and listening to the things that they say and the words and how they said it and what's important to them. Because certain, if you realize when people are talking, the respect comes into play. They kind of like they're passionate. They're even more passionate about this part of it. They don't care too much about the other part, but they care a lot about this part. That's their value showing up. That's people's value showing up. And we're so enthralled with what we're going to say and how we're responding that we're not paying attention to what they're saying. So the conversation don't end in, thumbs up. It ends in thumbs down. And so that's why I gravitate so much to emotional intelligence, because empathy helps you to listen beyond the words, to understand people's feelings and people's perspective. Perspective taking helps you to stay curious instead of defensive. And boy, Scotty, welcome in. We can get defensive really quick. Really quick. Respect doesn't mean agreement. It means acknowledgement. That's the respect of it all. Acknowledge that the person have said this, and do you understand what they have said? You don't have to share someone's belief to show them respect. You just have to value their humanity. That's it, you guys. I mean, there's no there's no magic to this. It just comes down to your humanity, right? So do you respect that person, that relationship, that whatever, personally or professionally? Do you respect them enough? Do you respect them enough to hold their humanity before that defensive response that you have to say? Do you have to say that? Do you have to say that? I shared on a few of my TikTok, um, few of my TikTok. I talk about my experience with my mom and how our relationship has grown. It was estranged, and now we have a better relationship because I now understand in my late 30s, early 40s is when I finally started to not not hold every single thing that she says as something defensive and taking it personal to the point where I would stop talking to her or stop acknowledging her or whatever, right? I realized that, right? And then I would have this conversation with her. So they said that you can't teach old dogs new trick. Well, if those old dogs, if those old dogs care about the relationship, they will learn those new tricks. Because we say all the time, I say all the time on my podcast here, that you teach people how to treat you, right? And though my mom is up there in age, she cared about the having a relationship with her kids. And I look at my mom now and the relationship that we have now versus the relationship, and even not only with me, with all her other children, because she has 7 children. Hi, Yolanda. Yolanda Stokes, Black Watch. Thank you guys for stopping in. We're getting ready to wind down here, but kind of ending it now with how important it is for you to not only respect yourself, but respect the people that you have in your lives. And so that relationship that I had with my mom, it took me some time to kind of to see her and to just see whatever she says as from a place of empathy, of grace. And that's what I said, right? Being on this journey of personal development and kind of, getting, working on your trauma and all this stuff. At the end of the day, it's all about grace, giving that other person grace, right? And then trying to figure out if, do you want this person in your life? Do you need this person in your life? Because if they're continually not respecting you, right? If they continue to break your boundaries, what is that costing you? There's something in the science that's called cognitive dissonance. And that means that you want them to respect you, but you're not getting that respect, right? So, and what happens is that you are showing up as one thing, but inside something else is happening. Disconnection, right? Hi, Jennifer Wolf. Thank you guys for passing through. Good morning. Good morning. So you need to have a balance. You need to have a perfectly balanced. That means you're not being true to yourself. That means you are pretending to be something else that you're not. And your insides, right? Meaning your well-being, your psyche, your mind, body, soul, spirit, your intuition, the you on the inside, that little girl, that little boy on the inside, they are not being heard. So they protect themselves however they can. And so what they do is they latch on to your whatever trauma that you had from before, and then you become defensive, and then nobody's listening, and then the relationship doesn't happen and doesn't move forward. And so everybody is right because everybody is right, right? And then the needle doesn't get moved forward. And years pass, and that relationship is no longer what it used to be. And then you look back on it and and I remember having an argument with someone in the family, and a disagreement, I should say, and years passed. It was like 7, 8 years passed, And then I realized, what did we argue about again? You can't remember what you argued about, but here you are, 7 years in, holding strong. Jackie, welcome in. Welcome back. Thank you for passing through. You are here holding strong onto something that you don't even remember what the argument was about. That you felt so disrespected, and you stopped talking to that person for years, and you held in that grudge for so long. You just don't even know what I guarantee you. I mean, this I'm not the only person this happens to, right? You forget what you argued about. What did we argue about? Why did I stop talking to her? Was it worth it? Right? Was it worth it? It doesn't matter, man. Um, was it worth it? So you have to kind of put it on the scale, and you have to be real with yourself. To be honest with you, you can't have this conversation about respect and people respecting you if you don't respect yourself enough to be honest with yourself. Let me just say that. If you can't respect yourself to have this conversation with yourself and be honest, then you can't even step to anybody and talk about respect me and respect me and respect me. You don't respect yourself, right? The black monk, welcome in. Good morning. Well, good morning. So that's what this conversation is about. You got to check yourself. And this is what we're going to end with today. It starts with you. Alexandria, welcome in. Good morning. It comes down to you. Do you respect yourself? Would you like, you know, hey, how is it that you want people to see you and respond to you? Well, it starts with you respecting yourself. Check out, here's your call to action, right? Do an itinerary, like do a tally of all the relationships that are not doing so great in your life right now. And then only if you care about mending them, kind of like analyze them and see what is it that went south, and what do you think you can do to put them back on track. And this is, the holidays are coming. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the humans are meant to be in connection and unity, in togetherness. That's what it comes down to, right? Karen, Karen, hi, welcome you guys. Bobby, Masira, welcome in. Absalom. So that's what it comes down to. So this is as we wind down here. As a matter of fact, I can wind down on my podcast and kind of still talk a little bit more on TikTok. So let's kind of end over here on TikTok. Before we wrap up, I want to take a moment to kind of reflect. And here's the question: when was the last time you earned someone's respect? And what did you do? What did you do that made it happen? So look at those relationships that you have in your life. Maybe when was the last time, you know, you lost someone's respect? How do you get it back? Do you want to get it back? And remember, this is all about you being honest with yourself, because the truth is respect is a one-way street. Isn't a one-way street. I'm sorry. It's something we build, and it goes both ways, right? Moment by moment, through our words, through our tone, to our emotional awareness. It starts with you, Bobby, Janice, 19380. It starts with all of you. How are you treating yourselves? Right? So if today's conversation kind of allowed you to kind of pause and think a little bit, I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Karen, good morning. Good morning. So that's how we're going to end this conversation, and I'm going to get off here on all the other platforms, but I'm going to stay on TikTok. So you guys on TikTok, don't go anywhere. So let's see here. Hi, Brent Fisher. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you guys for stopping by. So let's see here.
Thank you for being here and supporting this channel. If you enjoy this episode and this content, it would mean a lot to me if you would take a few seconds to ensure you are subscribed to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Click the notification bell to receive notification. Share it with someone you think may need it. And let's continue to become more intelligent with our emotions. Thank you. See you later.